Violent in the capital, Jakarta, and other major cities.
So, anti-government protests in Indonesia.
Police fired tear gas and deployed water cannon to disperse
Holy.
crowds. Hundreds are protesting against a number of cost of living related issues, including the lack of jobs and low wages. But the death of a motorcycle taxi driver who was run over by a police vehicle on Thursday has worsened that anger. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has apologized.
That usually is a drive for escalation, for sure.
For the excessive use of force by police, and is calling for calm. Well, let's speak to Al Jazeera's producer, Siriana Hasibuan, who in Jakarta.
Well, people have been demonstrating in Jakarta the whole day today and also in many other cities in Indonesia. Well, the crowd of angry mobs started together earlier in the day outside police quarters, throwing rocks and shoot fireworks into the headquarters. And then the police fired tear gas at them. The crowd then started to burn things around the area. It is now raining heavily in Jakarta.
I mean, yeah, it's switching from a protest to pretty much to a revolution.
Is still gathering.
Like, look at the size of it.
Who knows what will happen later on tonight?
Yeah, like we are seeing those live pictures from Jakarta, and as you say, it's raining, but people are still out
maybe
on the
more
streets.
Than 100,000.
Remind us, Siriana, how these demonstrations started.
It started earlier this week when students demonstrating against salary package received by member of parliament, which is more than 10 times of minimum wage in Indonesia. People are angry. They feel that the government and the parliament do not care about their situation. Their living cost is very high right now. Jobs hard to find. And then they feel like the rich keep getting richer, but then there's no improvement.
So pretty much it started because of the corrupt government that only cares about its own interest and doesn't care about civilians.
And then
it's a pretty common
the demonstration getting
cause of
a happened between the protesters and the police.
Sometimes in a revolution.
Later that night, the motorbike driver got killed by police car. And then the situation even more.
Yeah, that usually leads to escalation. Yeah.
After that.
Pretty
okay,
violent
Siriana,
one.
thank you so much for the update. That's Al Jazeera's producer, Siriana Hasibuan, on the line there from Jakarta with the latest on those demonstrations. These are the latest pictures we're getting from the Indonesian capital. Police and protesters on the streets clashing for a second night.
I mean, that's where you start a revolution, pretty much.
The death of a motorcycle driver. But that wasn't the initial anger that the issue that angered protesters, as we've heard from our correspondent. Let's discuss this further now with Wirya Adewina, who is the Deputy Director of Amnesty International Indonesia, joining us from Jakarta. Thank you so much for being with us. As our producer noted there, the capital of Indonesia has seen a series of demonstrations this week with the protests stemming from a number of issues. What are Indonesians most angry about right now?
Well, I think the death of the motorcyclist last night, was something that really triggers a lot of emotional outbursts, because this is the final straw that breaks the camel back. Although these demonstrations has been running quite heatedly in the past couple of days, what we need to understand, this is not even the first demonstration, big large-scale
demonstration. But the problem, they need to be careful with such a thing, because a revolution is usually the time of opportunity, and like a foreign intelligence agencies can use it as a Trojan horse to push their own narratives, agenda through their agents. So they definitely need to be careful with such thing.
But the police forces, tear gas was used improperly, water cannons, beatings. So I think when people are seeing with their own eyes a motorcyclist being trampled by a police vehicle, that is just the trigger.
Right. As you say, this is not the first demonstration, but the pictures that we're seeing are quite spectacular, of fires burning in Jakarta. How do these protests fit into Indonesia's longer history of public mobilization over inequality and governance issues? What feels different this time?
Well, what the government needs to understand is that they have been continued to gaslit people's opinion in the past several years. It is only makes sense
I mean,
that
yeah, at this point, they just need to resign. Like, this is a complete coup revolution.
what we are looking in the past several weeks is a blatant show of the parliament, the government dancing around as the people are struggling. Economics are difficult in Indonesia at the moment. Jobs are difficult for Indonesians at the moment. And
I mean, yeah, that's the results of a corruption usually
Indonesians are those jobs,
in the government.
livelihoods. So what's happening now is something that should have been expected if only the government would listen. If
Police is obviously protecting the government, so yeah.
Doubt a key test.
But usually they, they have a choice to switch the side. So maybe this time it
But what else
can happen.
does he need to do now to quell this anger? What does he need to do for Indonesians to
That's a pretty good question.
accept, to trust once again their government?
Resign.
Well, for starter, what you said as the president's apology was actually a non-apology. The president indeed conveyed his condolences. He did express his regret, but he did not apologize to the people. He did not apologize for the excessive use of force. And he did not provide clear action points of what the government will do to solve this big issue. And this is such a big issue that Amnesty International have been documenting multiple excessive use of police force throughout the years. From 2020 to 2022, 2022 to 2024, 2025, years after years after years, when people are protesting peacefully, police will come with batons, with tear gas, with water cannons. And this requires a clear, concrete actions that reform the police body structurally. Apologies alone, not enough.
I mean, police is usually just following the orders of the government, so if that's the solution the government decided to have for a peaceful protest before, so that's obviously is gonna eventually turn into the revolution.
The government's response.
And it obviously starts from a protest, then it escalates from different incidents that are happening, like with the motorcycle guy being killed and run over.
Well, the government should definitely be worried about what they have been failing to do.
I don't know if
that image
he got
of
killed, but
democracy.
run over for sure.
They have
That's what I
been
heard.
curbing freedom of press. They have been attacking journalists. They have been curbing freedom of expression and freedom of speech. They have been criminalizing criticisms, dissents, online and offline. So I think the government should be very worried about their images abroad in terms of democracy and human rights. But one thing that I am very appreciative of Indonesians, even in these times when the governments are attacking its own people, we are looking at people still continuing to express their criticisms in the street, online. People are still organizing. People are still trying to make things better for their fellow Indonesians. So I think one thing.
Yeah, the most important thing for them right now is to be organized and to have a plan what they're gonna do at the end of the day of this. If it's gonna be a complete revolution with a government change, or they definitely need to have a plan.
Indonesians will still stay true to the traditions of democracy.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us about the situation in Indonesia today. Wirya Adewina is the director of Amnesty International Indonesia, and will keep a close eye on the situation in Indonesia for you here on Al Jazeera throughout the day and evening.
Yeah, that's crazy. Again, out of nowhere, just a complete. But again, if I guess in mass media does not talk about this. So for us is a little was out of nowhere, but I can imagine in Indonesia it was like it was a common news. So yeah, that's crazy. Again, probably about to be a revolution then.